You're listening to Two Guys Talking Wine with Michael Pinkus and Andre Prue.
This podcast is brought to you by no one. We still don't have a sponsor, but we do have a few of you supporting us on patreon.com/2guystalkingwine. So if you want to support Canada's second longest running podcast about wine, we're looking at you, Terry David Mulligan. You can't keep doing it forever. Support us. Michael.
Andre, this is going to be a mishmash.
Yeah, it's been It's been a while since we've done a Shooting the It podcast.
Yeah.
But you and I, we've had...
I see this as opening on its own, isn't it?
It is opening on its own.
Wow.
You and I have had a very eventful...
January,
yeah, very eventful January, and
December as well.
I'll say December. I'll talk a bit about what I drank while I was back in Saskatchewan, and throw some more shade at the LCBO. But
Saskatchewan.
We're going to open this up with 2017 Blanc de Blanc from Cave Spring. Why the hell are we opening this?
Oh, because you know what? It was funny for our Toronto Life article. And if you haven't seen, look, I know it's after the holidays, and our article is based around bargain wines and
it's sparkling
and sparkling. But you know what? That list is still pretty banger all year round. So I would, if I were you out there in podcast listening land, I would mark these.
I'm sure that he won't mind me mentioning this, but Nick Dixon of CP24 fame, formerly of CHCH TV fame, has told me that he bookmarks our lists and uses them when he goes to the LCBO to buy wine. And that is pretty high praise because his wife, Britt Dixon, is also pretty embedded in the Ontario wine industry and knows what's going on. And both of them have pretty darn good tastes in wine.
No, I'm glad that somebody's liking that. I think everybody should bookmark it and keep going back to it because
it's another way you can support. It's another way you can support the second longest wine podcast, longest running wine podcast in Canada.
Anyway, so Cave Spring sent this to us, and it just never appeared in the LCBO, even by the time we wrote the article. So we held it back. And I thought, why not? They sent it. We should taste it.
Just when in my head, I think I settle on what Ontario's thing should be. And, I've got my company's reputation staked on Rosé, Pinot Noir, and Chardonnay, as a lot of people do. It's just every time I open up a banger bottle of Ontario Sparkling, whether that's typically from Hinterland or Featherstone.
Look, Trius still makes a great banger. Henriette Pelham still makes great sparkling.
The wild card gets dealt in my hand, and that's Cave Spring.
Yeah, this one's, Westcott makes great bubbles. Cave Spring, 2027 Blanc de Blanc. And as I said,
Care to take that vintage again? We don't have a time machine.
Oh, sorry, 2017. Let me just put the glasses on. Oh, yeah, that's not a 2. It's only 1 2.
It's starting to show its age a little bit. And
I like the biscuitiness. I like the acidity.
Yes. It's got some nice phenolics, though, from that Miracle Harvest.
Yeah, it's got some nice, green apple.
Yes, very green apple. But also some, Bartlett pear, underripe Bartlett pear, back when the pear is still crunchy.
Yeah.
Got some crunchy peach, that peach that you've accidentally cut into, and nectarine, not peach.
Oh, look at you!
That feeling when you cut into the nectarine and it's a little underripe, but you're too stubborn to let it go because you've already cut into it. And you have to peel it off the nut.
It's not like you can let it go ripen somewhere.
And that's it. And it's just but you still get kind of a nice nectarine flavor, but great tartness with it.
Yep,
that's this.
Yeah, no, there's some really nice.
Man, I should really start writing more wine reviews lately. I know I've kind of given up on it over the past few years. Frankly, I'm
for all of those who in January wandered out to the grocery store, in their dry January phase. Let's say if you did that, shame on you if you did. But anyway, good for you. Good for somebody.
Well, do you mind if I give a quick shout out to my other podcast, Tasting Together?
Why did you guys do a...
I did a thing about why I didn't do dry January and why I'm probably not going to be doing dry January ever again.
Good.
No, but I mean, not all good. It's just we've really pulled into moderation in this household. We're not opening wine on weekdays for the most part. Obviously, we're recording this on a Tuesday, so we're not militant on the rule. But you know, on Super Bowl Sunday, we didn't open a bottle of wine.
I find that I am not opening during the week, and I am opening maybe 1 or 2 on the weekend. So I am in that same boat. But again, you know, being it a Tuesday, podcast day, blah, blah, blah.
And also just an excuse to drink some banger wines. And I try to cook you a pretty nice meal, even though you've got the palate of a picky 5-year-old.
That's fine. Everybody should like just green peas. So I like this wine. What I was going to say is if you wandered out to a grocery store in January and you were able to pick up Canada Dry's Peach Mango, this has kind of got that kind of mid palate.
Okay, so I've been trying to get back on the weight loss wagon. Like after I lost all that weight in 2020, it's literally all crept back. I don't like having pop in the house.
Oh.
But Anya brought home the Peach Mango Zero. I cannot stand the taste of Diet Pop. And I asked her to buy me a case of the regular, like, full sugar one.
Yeah.
Let's just say when I go and ride the exercise bike for a good 45 minutes, I've earned my can of Peach Mango.
That stuff's good. It is so tasty.
Could it be that you like it because it kind of tastes like sweet Chardonnay, Michael?
No, it never even crossed my mind.
Because you know what? When I tasted that immediately crossed my mind.
You know, it's funny because they did it as a limited edition, and I was like, and I've talked to so many people who said, "Damn it, I wish they bring that beverage around."
You know, but it's sort of like what happened at Wendy's. And it's kind of funny. I worked at Wendy's when I was 15, so like
Jesus,
literally a quarter century ago. When I was working there, we called it the bacon mushroom melt. It's now called the like portobello cheddar. Like they've tried to zhuzh it up.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's just like it's still limited edition, but they bring it back every year without fail.
Well, Canada Dry does that with the cranberry one, and I'm like, I've tried the cranberry one. It's not something that I gravitate towards. This one, I bought a lot of it. I think I bought, because they come in 12 packs, and I bought 4 of them.
But you know what? As much as that might be the Grand Cru Classé of pop, we thought we would use this podcast and like this isn't meant to be a flex. Like you and I are wine critics, so like we get to taste a lot of stuff. We got a few things to taste on this podcast, but I thought it might be interesting to do a little bit of show and tell. We can talk a little bit about how economies of scale have kind of ruined certain wineries. And if we can dive right in, I think one of the wineries that have been ruined by the current economic situation, the Chinese market again, and just scarcity in general, is Domaine de la Romane Conti.
Yeah, that's expensive. That's expensive hooch.
Yeah, you did a solid where on a cold January night, you showed up at this house with a bottle of 1993 La Tache.
Yeah, so I had thought briefly about selling it, and I was like, and then I think we had our podcast with Stephen
Ranger where he told us single bottles are worthless.
Do not do nothing, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess I am stuck with drinking it, and so we did.
Well, because on Wine Searcher, the average price of a bottle of 1993 La Tache is $6,500 Canadian.
Yeah, was it Canadian or American?
You know what? I'll fact check that.
I thought it was American because unless you set your price to being Canadian, it's got a C in front of it.
Why don't you talk a bit about the wine itself, and I'll fact check this.
Here's the thing. It's not my first bottle of La Tache, and I think I told the story on that night. I was doing a wine cellar for a client, and first of all, for a wine of that quality and that caliber, they probably have some of the leakiest corks. When I inventory Domaine Romane Conti wines, I could tell you 1 in 10 is somehow leaking. So when I reported back to the gentleman when I was finished after my week of being in his cellar, and I said to him, you have a few leaky bottles. You may want to drink them sooner than later. Just keep your eye on them, and I don't want them to get all over your new wood, blah, blah, blah. And he says to me, while we go through the cellar, let's drink something. And he goes, like that one. And it was the La Tache, and it was my first time drinking a La Tache.
Do you remember what vintage it was?
I do not. It did have a cork that said La Tache. I kept that for a while, and I had imprinted the date on the top, but somewhere along the line I've lost that cork, or it is somewhere in my house somewhere, and I don't know. But
how was that bottle before we get into the one that we enjoyed together?
Knowing the reputation of Domaine Romane Conti, I was underwhelmed by that bottle. It was good, but knowing the price, knowing that it's supposed to be one of the pinnacle wines.
Yeah, it's an icon wine. It's a halo wine.
I was like, okay, I've tasted it. I never have to taste it again because it did nothing for me. I was expecting that Pinot Noir moment, where everybody talks about, which wine, what was your favorite wine? What was the wine that gets you into wine? Blah blah blah. And everybody, eventually somebody says, well, I had this Pinot that just blew my mind. Yeah. And I was ready to go, okay, this is the Pinot that's going to blow my mind. And I wouldn't want to say that I was supremely disappointed, but I just went, it's good, but it's not fantastic.
You know what? Okay, so you were correct. It was US dollars. So the value of the 1993 that you brought to our house was $8,493.55 based on today's exchange rate. And it was nice, the circumstances under which we opened it.
It was an expensive pee that night, too.
Well, but I mean, that's really funny and true. But, I mean, just to talk about, like, the experience as well is, as wine critics, we get a chance to taste a lot of these icon wines, but it's often under, like, academic settings.
Yeah.
We're scrutinizing them, we're writing tasting notes, and we're trying to be accountable to our listeners, our readers,
yep.
To guide them to what to buy. But, like, doing, like 5 or 6 years worth of tastings at the LCBO at 8 a.m, tasting as many wines as I could before rushing off to produce a talk radio show, I never got to enjoy those wines. And the nice thing about this was, like, it was a no pressure zone. It was the right group of people. Guillaume, who is a partner in the wine business, his wife was there. Lovely Ophelia was here as well. Anya was here. And, with six...
You were there last I checked.
I mean, myself as well, obviously. But, like, we got to have, like, a nice glass of the wine. We did short pours because we actually opened it, like, while we were cooking so that we got to see what it was like out of the bottle. And my reaction, I think, was just like yours. It was a little... Not just a little. It was a lot underwhelming. Like, I don't want to say anything bad about it because it wasn't a bad wine.
No, there was nothing bad about it. It was 93, so it's well aged.
Yeah, 30-year-old wine.
So and they're supposed to age. So and there was nothing. It was not corked.
No,
it was not muted. There was still some fruit there.
That's it. I think the one fascinating thing I will say about it is it was a bit of a trickster. Like, it was showing primary, secondary, and tertiary flavors all in the same glass. So, like, it had fresh fruit, it had dried fruit, it had, like, dried mushroom, earthy forest floor, and it's just, I've never tasted a wine that had all of that going on, but it once again comes down to the fact that even 16 years into my career writing and talking about wine, my personal preference is really dialed in.
Yeah,
I like wine where it's still showing a lot of that primary fruit, but it's easy to drink. And this, I mean, the tannin was soft, but, like, the fruit was on the backstage.
I don't know if I mean, I'm speechless to the point where you think of how much the wine is now. You know, it's the price of, you know, a used car.
Yeah. That wine costs more than my wife's shitbox BMW.
So, and I guess at that price point, you're looking for a wow moment. You know, knock your socks off, blow your hair back, the whole 9 yards. Like, it should just be one of those moments, you know, you remember for the rest of your days. Look, I remember the one that I tasted that was leaky.
Yeah.
Just for the fact that I got to taste it for the first time. I will probably remember opening this bottle again for the rest of my days, but not because my hair was blown back and my toes curled and everything like that. It was a La Tache. You got to taste a La Tache.
But that being said, I don't know how memorable this wine is going to be for you, but I got to feel a little point of pride because you showed up. Like, you showed up to play, you know? You showed up at this house with the keys to a Ferrari and said, let's go for a rip. And I was just like, okay, I have to go to my basement and find something that's ready to drink. Because as we said, a lot of the stuff in my cellar now that's more expensive isn't ready to drink. I opened up Henry Giroux, the MV17. So they're second tier.
And interestingly enough, we opened it at the end of the night.
Yeah. But, you know, I can generally judge how much someone is enjoying a wine by how quickly they're drinking it.
Yep.
I've never seen you do this at this house because you're usually pretty balanced and like
I wanted to get my money's worth.
And it also takes it takes a lot to impress you. And we didn't really get a chance to talk about like your thoughts about the wine, but I just remember looking at everybody's glass around the room, you know, we were drinking out of Zaltos and you know, everybody was savoring this Henry Giroux and your glass was empty because you enjoyed the shit out of this wine.
Well, I needed I wanted a palate cleanser, and it was right there.
Yeah, you use this bottle of champagne to clean your palate. Like, screw you, Michael.
That was the first glass. The second glass is where I enjoyed it even more.
But we did the podcast earlier this year where I got to share my affection for the brand, and I think we both agreed that the quote-unquote entry-level, the Esprit at $110 is pretty damn good juice. This bottle comes in now at about $350, which is a lot of money for champagne.
Yeah.
But
it's a lot of money for any wine.
Give me a tasting note. You did that to me on the last episode.
Wow. I just remember, like, what was the year on that? Did we have a year?
No, there's no vintage.
There's no vintage.
It was the 17th version. They're doing kind of like Krug with the, like, 294th edition of theirs.
Got it. So it was very similar, like almost to the La Tache because it had fresh. It had the biscuits, but it had that fresh fruit. It was. I'm going to assume, because I didn't ask you many questions about the wine, that there's some barrel aging to that.
It's all 100% barrel aged.
So there was some complexity based on the fruit that was obviously barrel aged. Not new oak. I'm going to say
all new oak.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so it's well balanced in there.
These people know what they're doing. They don't mess around.
Because I tasted a little bit of oak, but I got oak more along the lines of the background player, not the guy up at the front, going, look at me. And usually to me that means used oak. You're going to use a little bit of new, to get some of that vanilla in there or in that butteriness, but you're going to use primarily second and third fill to get that fruitiness, that great mouthfeel. And no, this did not come off as a 100% new oak wine in any way, shape, or form. It was well balanced. It was complex. It was. If you had opened a second bottle, I wouldn't have said no. How about that,
my dude? If I had a second bottle, I would have happily opened it. I mean, it's one of the cool things about the wine is because of the profile and the way they use oak is these wines are great young, but have the longevity in the cellar. And I keep trying to buy bottles with the intention of cellaring them, but occasions keep coming up. This MV17 has been in my cellar for a few years. I was hoping it would go a little longer, but when someone shows up at your house with a bottle of La Tache, what do you have to open?
Yeah, I guess you got to show something. And then we had a bottle of we had a Bordeaux in there as well. I can't remember.
But that's the thing.
Sadly, it got lost.
It got lost in the mix. But thank you to Guillaume for showing up with a great bottle as well.
Speaking of things that showed up,
yeah.
I know you like to laugh at me about spirits.
Oh, actually, I was thinking about you, Michael. I went to the Center Mall on Barton LCBO in Hamilton to pick up some wines that I'd ordered in. And they have an end display for all the different flavors of Dr. McGillicuddy available now. I thought Dr. McGillicuddy was a bourbon-based product.
No, it's a whiskey-based product.
I know it's whiskey-based, but I wonder if it was originally made with bourbon or what's going on.
I was telling people the story of what you said on the streets of Saguenay, and it still to this day makes me laugh and everybody else. So, thanks to Woodman Wines, they sent us some tasters.
Oh, I would call them friends of the podcast at this point. Whenever Joel drops by this house, he brings really great stuff, and Joel's also the owner of Fourth Wall Virtual Winery.
Well, this was actually sent to me by Rachel Woodman.
I think Rachel is the head honcho?
She's kind of head honcho. One of the head honchos. How about that? And I was interested in Japanese whiskey. I started tasting Japanese whiskey. So I learned that I like Irish whiskey. After all of this time, I've learned I like Irish whiskey. We've learned I like a little bit of Scotch. Mm-hmm. And then while I was in Italy last year, I discovered that I really like Japanese whiskey because I found some, tasted some, and was pretty impressed by it.
Can I put an asterisk beside this? Just as someone who does drink a lot of Japanese whiskey, the thing is, for you, Michael, you're going to have to be careful with painting Japanese whiskey with the same brush. And I actually love the fact that what you've got in your hand is from Nikka.
Yes.
So I'm about to open my cupboard here, and right within arm's reach, I have a bottle of Nikka whiskey from the barrel. 51.4% alcohol, comes in a 500 ml bottle, square bottle. I buy one of these almost every 2 months. This is my sipping whiskey. This is my entertaining whiskey. Offers tremendous value. And I'm going to get to a point about why you need to be careful with Japanese whiskey. The other one that I have that I try to keep in the house at all times is the Yoichi, the single malt whiskey. I try to keep this in the house, but I am a fan of peated whiskeys. It's not my favorite, but I like Scotch.
I am against peated whiskeys.
All right, well then, this is why I think you need to be careful with Japanese whiskey. So smell this Yoichi right now, and give me a tasting note while you smell it.
Oh, that's...
Yeah.
No, that's got peat in it.
It's heavily peated, but let me just say this, and I am going to get all sorts of hate for what I'm about to say. The thing I like about the Yoichi, even with a Lagavulin 16, which is now $180 a bottle at the LCBO, I find that the finish on it is bitter and acrid just from that intense smoke that you get from it. With the Yoichi, what they've done at Nikka is found a way to integrate that peat so that it's sweeter on the finish. I would pour a bit for you, but just the fact that you didn't like the nose means you're not going to enjoy this. And I'm not doing this for the shock value, but I'm saying at under $100 a bottle, if you can't afford Lagavulin, buy a bottle of the Yoichi. But you have in front of us another bottle of Nikka.
I like Nikka's whiskeys that I've tried, and so I have Nikka coffee grain whiskey.
For you after too.
And I also, Rachel, out of the goodness of heart, sent a Scotch, Spey River single malt. So the single malt is $48.95. The Nikka is $87. Do you want to do this in order of country? You want to do this in order of...
You know what, let's do the Nika because we went down the Japanese whiskey
road,
and then I'm going to pour a bit of the by the barrel for you. Thank you.
So this is the coffee grain.
Okay, so this is unpeated.
Yes, it's unpeated, and from what I understand, so the coffee is not coffee.
No, not spelled Coffee. It's Coffey, which I believe is the type of still that they use.
So that's the interesting part there. Smells all right. I think I'm okay with that smelling wise.
This smells and tastes more like Canadian whiskey than it does like Scotch whiskey. It's a very like butterscotchy, caramelly.
Woo!
Been a while since you've had that reaction. Do you want me to get some ice?
Wow, that one's...
Well, you did take that straight.
I do. I do like my whiskey straight. That one has a bit of burn. It has a bit of shock value to it.
Yeah, the ABV is probably a little higher than 45. Did Rachel rate the ABV on the bottle?
She did not. Just the price. It's you know what? I don't mind that. It'd
be better on ice.
It does give you a little bit of shock on the mouth. It's a nice, it's cold outside. We're in the middle of winter. It's a warming sensation that I'm getting from it. I would have another.
Oh, so it's at 45. Yeah, I think this on ice would be good. And also, if you're a fan of really good Canadian whiskey, I think this would be a perfect adjunct to that. It's certainly more Canadian in style than it is like Scotch whiskey.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's not Irish in nature. And Irish I always find very smooth.
Let's try the by the barrel. Do you want me to... Okay, so this was not sent by Rachel. So, Rachel, if you're listening to this, I buy a lot of this, and I'm sharing it with Michael. And if you felt like sending a bottle to replace it, I would not complain.
But yeah, just to finish off, the coffee, thumbs up from me. Thumbs up for
also
sure.
Thumbs up for me.
Thumbs up for sure.
I'll give you a fair warning. This is a blend of a few whiskeys from Nika, so there is a little bit of peat on it, but it shouldn't smell... Yeah, I see the look on your face. You're not turned off by the smell like you were with you.
No, you get a lot of vanilla out of this. Like, just tons of it.
Yeah, man. Okay, that makes me excited. It's just like, okay, maybe Michael's ready to progress beyond Dr. McGillicuddy's.
There was also some butterscotch in here too. So little liquid withers here happening. Did you replace this with Dr. McGillicuddy's?
Oh, there is no Dr. McGillicuddy's in this house. And then on the palate, it's like brown sugar, almost like maple toffee.
Oh shit, that's really good.
But then on the finish, you get a little bit of that smoke, a little bit of that peat.
Yeah, but that's not offensively peaty.
Whoa, we're making progress here. So one day you're drinking from the barrel, the next day you're drinking Lagavulin.
So yeah, there's if it's peated, it's very lightly peated, yes. and it's not offensive. Although it does linger, but it doesn't. It's not.
No, it's buried underneath the sweetness.
It's not begging for attention. Do you know what I mean? It's hanging out back there. It's the kid in the corner who goes, dance with me, but the rest of everybody else is dancing on the floor, and this is the little shy kid in the back corner going.
The flavor profile is sweet, but it's a brighter sweetness than the coffee grain. The coffee grain is that more back palate. The I find like good Canadian whiskey, I say tastes like liquid butter tart. And the thing is, like, Nika, whoever's blending and putting together the coffee grain, you are an honorary Canadian because you've done a good job getting that.
I don't know. Do you think Nika... do you think Nika speaks English? Do you think we could find somebody?
I would love to talk to somebody from that distillery to talk about how much I love their whiskeys. And then the price to value is insane. And then here we are, like I said, from the barrel... blended Scotch. I would reach for this 10 times out of 10, 100 times out of 100 over like a Johnny Walker Black Label.
That is really a pleasant whiskey. I'm going to say that right here. It's really pleasant, really fun to drink.
That makes me happy because I'm sure for a lot of people who are regular listeners who've heard us do the spirits episodes, I'm sure there's some people who think that I've tried to screw with you by pouring stuff that you end up hating. I would never actually do that to you because I want you to like spirits the way I like spirits.
Well, as I said, the coffee. I think I took it back like a shot. Maybe I should have been a little more gentle with it.
Okay, that's why you coughed it up.
But it's made me stand up and take notice. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
It's one of those whiskeys that just you take that sip and it's going. I'm here and I am unapologetically whiskey. Whereas this one is, I don't want to say it's apologetic, but it's like
It's a polite house guest.
it's polite. It saunters into the room.
Yep.
Where the other one walks in and goes, "I'm here." This one kind of shows up and goes, "Hey, man."
But you're getting a difference in price, too. Like, it's the other thing about the fact that it's a blended whiskey, which means it's meant to be more versatile. It's meant to be more rounded. It's the, I know we hate lower tier, but it's the entry to the portfolio. So, like, right now it's on for $55 a bottle at the
That's
LCBO.
really good. Both of
All
them are very good. So now Rachel wanted us to try the Scotch. So this is called Spey River. I've never heard of it before.
Me neither.
So it must be new to their portfolio.
Okay.
It's a single malt. It's $48.95. So it's not.
No, that's affordable for Scotch. It is, we've been very critical on this podcast about Bordeaux and pricing and turning their backs on markets. It's something that has driven me nuts about Scotch. I do love my Lagavulin, but I can't afford $180 a bottle.
I do not. From the nose, I don't get peat.
No, this is unpeated.
So
the thing I love about Speyside Scotch, I hope you can get this. I know it's Spey River. Yeah, it does say Speyside on the bottle. I'm on the LCBO website. I'm probably going to buy a bottle of this. I can tell you just from the nose.
Is it called Spey River or Speyside River? You said
It's called Spey River Speyside Single Malt Sherry Cask Finish.
Sherry cask finish.
So I smell the nose on this, and you know what the nose on this smells like to me?
See, I do like sherry cask finish.
This is what I love about Speyside Scotches, is when I close my eyes, I'm immediately watching Saturday morning cartoons with a bowl of Frosted Flakes in front of me. It smells like cereal milk. It's that like...
So your mother used to give you booze in the morning just to keep you quiet, or what?
No. My mother is a saint. No, but I'm just saying, like, if you close your eyes, it's got a bit of, like, a creaminess to the nose. Like, it smells like milk and sugar. It smells like cereal milk to me.
You know what? I am there with you on the Frosted Flakes because I'm getting the corn and the sugar. I don't get milk, but I do get like that frost. You open a bag.
You know what?
You open the Frosted Flakes and you stick your nose in it.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody's ever done that. I don't do it much anymore. But if you get one from Costco, you almost have to because it's such a big bag. But you get that smell. It's like opening a coffee, and when you first open that can of coffee, you get that big waft of coffee smell, coffee aroma.
Yeah.
This is when you open a big bag of Frosted Flakes, you can't help but smell sugar, corn flakes, that whole thing.
Okay, I think you're right. I think my brain might be filling in the blanks
with milk.
Yeah. Just because it's so much like Frosted Flakes. All right.
But this is not corn, right? They don't use corn. They don't use corn in.
They could.
All right. So,
let's see if I can take a look at if they have what's in their mash bill.
That would be really funny if they do corn in this, because then you've got your cornflakes, your little bit of sugar. You could put it over Frosted Flakes. It would be pretty good.
I don't want to put this on cereal. All right. So this is me putting my critic's hat on. One, I'm still going to probably buy a bottle of this just because it's affordable.
It is very affordable.
But on the palate, it's a little bit more harsh and rough on the finish.
Oh, I don't get that.
But I don't know what more to expect for $48.95. I'm also someone who I never drink my whiskey neat. I always put it on ice. And you and I have dealt with enough distillers, master distillers, been to enough spirit events to know that the only people who are snobs about ice in your whiskey are other whiskey douchebags.
Yeah.
Like anyone who makes the stuff. I remember being in Kentucky and visiting the 4 distilleries. Not a single person looked sideways at us for diluting our whiskey a bit.
Well, they have the eyedroppers and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to be precise, but I love throwing a big cube in the glass and just enjoying it. Okay, malted barley and water.
Okay, so no corn. So, a quick shout out to my now deceased landlord, Bob. He was a huge whiskey, Scotch drinker, and not only did he have those whiskey cubes, so they don't dilute and just make things cold. He did have an eyedropper so that he could put water in. And he was a huge Scotch drinker. In fact, from England. So I think he was from Scotland. I think he was Scottish.
So I don't know if anybody learned anything from this, but we got a chance to talk about drinking La Tache and Henry Giraud and spending a lot of money on wine. $8,500 is too much to spend on a bottle of wine, but I don't regret spending $300 on the Henry Giraud. Ontario Sparkling can age, if we can bring that around.
Yeah, well, or I think it's available now. That's why they sent it. So it's 9 years old.
Nika makes banger whiskeys that
Yes.
even Michael's evolving palate appreciated.
And
wait, do you want to try like a tiny splash of the Uichi to see your reaction?
I'll try that. I'll try that. But I would like to give you know what? You said you had a harsh finish on this Spey River. I do not.
Harsher than...
I do not. I get that as a very soft, easy whiskey. It's Scotch, but
All right.
I could easily drink that and sit in front of the television and watch Hell's Kitchen and watch Gordon Ramsay scream at somebody, and that would give me a little mellow. I'm like, woo.
I love how watching Gordon Ramsay stresses you out so much you feel like you need a drink. All right, here we are to the Yoichi, and like I said, this is what I'm drinking instead of Lagavulin these days.
So the peat, now that it's in the glass, is not as aggressive.
I know, it was. I made you smell out of the bottle.
Out of the bottle, it was very aggressive. I was like, oh, that's not going to be good. But this...
mother's milk.
Now you're back to the milk again. Jeez.
Definitely smokier than the by the barrel.
Yeah, definitely peated. Not the worst whiskey I've ever had. I've had tons of. I have a cousin who loves Scotch, and definitely wanted me to try it. But tried to get me to like peat, and I did not like peat. So this is not bad. I don't know if I'd buy that, just because I had a little splash, and I'm like, I'm okay with it. But I think if I had like a finger or two of it, I'd be like, nah, too much peat. I would definitely go for the Nika barrel.
Yeah.
The coffee I would drink slower.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And the Spey River, I drink a lot of it. That I think is a dangerous whiskey, because I found that very smooth.
I would buy a
easy
bottle.
drinking.
So I'm going to buy a bottle so that I have something when I'm craving Scotch. I have something affordable. Maybe this is whiskey snob in me a little bit, but I find Scotch a little bit like Californian wine, where like you can't get the good stuff for around $50 a bottle. You gotta spend a little bit more. But I mean, the nose was amazing on it, and
I like the palate. For me, I really liked how smooth and easy it was, and I think that's what got me on that one.
All right, let's take the exit ramp.
Got it.
This we never record 3-in-1 session. I have Spencer yelling at me to say goodnight to her, so I'm Andre Prue of
tap out.
AndreWineReview.ca at AndreWineReview. We already did the Patreon shout out. We have no sponsors right now.
Please join us. Get behind the paywall. You can hear some great interviews that we have going on. Thank you to Woodman,
to Cave Spring,
to
Henry Giraud for making such delicious juice,
to Domaine Romane Conti, who proved to us that wine does not have to be that expensive.
Yep.
And thanks to you for pulling some stuff out of the cupboard. So there's a lot of thank yous to go around. I'm Michael Pinkus of MichaelPinkusWineReview.com.
Put this to bed.
You can find me on social media as The Grape Guy. And after all that whiskey and all that wine,
Good night.
Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to Two Guys Talking Wine on iTunes.
Two Guys Talking Wine is produced by Adam Duran and Ken Little.